Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Graph News, brought to you by the Graphtronauts. Let us take you through the wormhole to have a look at some of the latest news, integrations, and datasets that you may have missed. This week, Tegan Klein was honoured as one of Forbes 30 Under 30. Her focused, positive leadership is an inspiration to us all, and a Graph is fortunate to have her on board. Congratulations, Tegan, and we're looking forward to your continuing success. Another week, another integration. Today we bring to you the news that ZK-Sync will be the first ZK protocol indexed by the Graph, which Matter Labs were eager to announce earlier this week. Matter Labs went on to say, "Bonded by our shared values of maximum decentralization, we are excited to announce that decentralized indexing protocol, the Graph, is integrating with ZK-Sync to provide an efficient way to query blockchain data." We at the Graphtronauts find this integration interesting because a week prior to this announcement, it was announced that they would be integrating with Covalent. This would be the first head-to-head between the two projects which we are aware of. Could this lead to one project getting all the work in the end? Are Matter Labs perhaps looking to see which project works best for their goals and desires? It is interesting nevertheless to speculate around why the need to bring in the Graph after already having Covalent involved. There will always be competition within the space, and healthy competition can only help further the innovation and improvements within that same space. We at the Graphtronauts say bring it on. The second news segment this week is pretty exciting. This week, Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum, announced a roadmap using the Graph protocol. Vitalik mentioned the Graph a couple of times during his post. This isn't the first time that he has mentioned the Graph. This shows that he is aware of the value the Graph has to helping index blockchain data. Vitalik also goes on to mention that so many applications have already switched to the Graph, that this is seen as a very viable option to store data as a current in-protocol way is too slow. Now, with the latest news wrapped up, let's take a look at what we have seen on Twitter this week. Radar DAO is an invitation-only community made up of motivated and engaged individuals within the crypto space, including Web3. Their recent tweet thread, indicating their interest in the Graph project, provides insight into the bright future they see with the Graph protocol. They understand that as crypto evolves, the amount of data needing to be indexed will rise significantly. They also recognise the need for quick adaptation to an ever-changing environment, something the protocol has demonstrated impressive proficiency at. Their involvement and support is just another great example of the increased visibility GRT has within the wider crypto space. GraphGod, a founding member of the Curation Station, shared this tweet of a real-world example where the Graph is playing a key role in supporting decentralized crypto projects. DChan is a decentralized time-traveling image board site meant to resemble the popular Web2 version known as 4chan. This crypto-based site's posts and images are stored on Polygon blockchain and on IFPS using the Graph to index and serve the content in a decentralized manner, according to the frequently asked questions page. The time-traveling aspect mentioned before refers to its back-end having been built using the Graph, which is capable of obtaining data as it was at any point in time, allowing the reading of DChan's boards and threads exactly as they were, whenever in the past. This means there's no need for an archive as it is already being built in the protocol. Best of all, this is open source, further solidifying its position based on Web3 and the Graph protocol ideals of transparency and ease of access. With some interesting tweets looked at this week, let's have a look at some of the latest datasets from the last 7 days. The active delegator count has increased by 90 delegators, bringing the total to 8,110, all delegating to an indexer and playing their role in securing the network. If you'd like to learn more about delegation, tune into the Delegator Office Hours hosted by our very own Paolo. The recording of the first call is available on YouTube. Scan the QR code on screen to go and watch this, and be sure to set a reminder for the 17th of December for episode 2. In this episode, they will be showcasing the new Graphtronauts app, discussing the Graph token economics, and a Q&A at the end. In the last 7 days, the GRT holder count has increased by 778 wallets. This brings the total of the active holders to 88,072. The total amount of GRT that has been burnt now stands at 17,319,457. This is an increase of 257,484. The amount of subgraphs that are deployed on the mainnet now stands at 290, an increase of 4 subgraphs from last week. The amount of curators all signaling subgraphs is 2,325. This is showing an increase of 13 curators than the previous week. Here is the curation segment in this week's news. We usually mention a subgraph that has gathered some attention, but there wasn't any noteworthy subgraph this week. But there are 2 GIPs that are worth highlighting. Both of these have been passed through the Graph Council and are awaiting audits for implementation. GIP 0018, change of ownership, will allow for the publisher to pass ownership of a subgraph to another wallet. This is key for freelance subgraph developers who want to benefit from being the first to signal a subgraph and also be able to pass ownership back to the project who has requested the subgraph. And also GIP 0019, gas reduction for initial signal. Currently, the gas required to be the first to signal on a subgraph is much higher compared to subsequent signals. This is because the contract has to create a contract that mints burns curation shares. Ariel's proposal will reduce this by around 60%. In addition to being the first to signal, this will also reduce costs for projects to upgrade their subgraph. In the community this week, our friend at GRTIQ recently welcomed Eugene Asiv, founder and CTO at Chainstack. In addition to being a grant recipient from the Graph Foundation, Chainstack is the infrastructure company that helps startups and enterprise customers build, run, and scale blockchain solutions. Here is just a little snippet from the podcast.
For us, streaming fast's work would be sort of next frontier because they are extending the graph stack itself. So they're adding a few more components to it, as well as they are tuning the actual blockchain nodes so that they give the information necessary for the other Firehose components to index data in a more efficient manner.
During their conversation, Eugene shared his story and how he got involved in the crypto space, the origins of Chainstack, and the work Chainstack provided as part of their foundation grant. Eugene also shares insight on the future of blockchain and Web3 and how the graph fits into it all. Scan the QR code on screen to listen to the podcast. It's available on many platforms, and once again, it is an interesting episode. Come and join the Graphtronauts community. Scan the QR codes on screen for our Telegram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts. The contents of this production do not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Take responsibility for your own decisions, consult with the proper professionals, and do your own research. At the time of production, stats and data were correct. The stats and data are subject to change.